Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a New Year's card featuring some Newton's Nook design stamps. I am starting with a sketch that I created for myself because I knew that I wanted to make a Happy New Year card featuring Newton, and I had an idea of him hanging on a party banner because of this hanging around set, and you can use any of the different critters, but I was thinking about making this for my sister, and she is a huge Newton fan, and so I'm going to have him hanging. And I also pulled out this Simply Sentimental set because it had a really large happy, which I thought would work out well for this card. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find the words New Year from Newton's Nook, so I decided to use some die cuts to spell out the word. These are from Lawn Fawn. They're the Cole's ABCs. And my sketch didn't actually work out because I don't have the proportions right. So another way to make sure that things will work out the way you want is to take the stamps and dies and just lay them out on the piece of cardstock that you will be using. And by laying them out here, I was able to see exactly how much room each element would need. And I decided instead that Newton will be hanging in the bottom and the Happy New Year will take up most of the card. I decided to use some glitter paper from Die Cuts with a View. Their glitter paper is excellent because it's really flat, it doesn't shed at all, so you don't have glitter everywhere, but it's perfect for a New Year's card because you want to have that celebratory, glittery kind of feeling. And so I decided to stamp Newton onto some glitter paper. I will also be using the same glitter paper to make the party banners. In order to stamp onto the glitter paper, I used some Stays-On ink. You probably could use some Memento or some other black ink because the glitter paper does take stamping really well, but just to be sure I used Stays-On. I fussy cut out Newton, and I decided that I want to make sure that he really looks like he's hanging on the string with the party banners, so I trimmed around his paws, and that way the string could be lifted up under them, and he would truly be hanging from the string. It is a little bit of a delicate thing to do, because you have to really get in the details, and if the string is too thick, his paws are going to lay out and it'll be clear where you cut them off. So I would suggest using a thin string, maybe some embroidery floss. I have some hemp cord here. I also die cut some party banners from the glitter paper. I have a die cut that creates the diamond shape with a score in the middle, and so it creates these party banners pretty easily. And I decided to do a gold and silver pattern because for this card I'll be using gold, silver, and black. I think those are some pretty classic New Year's colors, and I want to keep the color palette pretty simple so that the glitter is the star of the show. I decide that I'll do a silver, gold, but because Newton is gold, I'm going to incorporate him into the pattern and make sure that has silver on each side of him so that it's very consistent throughout the card. When I've cut these, I simply fold them on the score line, then peel off the tape that I had pre-applied to the back, and I'm stringing the banner along till it is about covered the same length as the card. Now, for Newton, I wanted to make sure that he popped up a little bit off of the page because with the string there, if he wasn't popping off the page, it might make the paws come out a little bit more and make it more obvious that there is nothing underneath his paws. And so I want to give it some dimension, but with the tail, in order to pop it up, I don't want to use the regular Scotch foam because you'll see it from the side, and so I decided to go with some Cool Tack clear foam. To add a little bit of depth and interest, I'm taking some Copic markers and coloring some small areas of Newton. The Copic markers are alcohol based, and so they work really well even on this glitter. You can color glitter, rhinestones, any plasticky or metal surface will be colored with Copics. I'm using some E33 and E31. I had thought about just using one color because I don't really expect you to be able to do a lot of easy blending, but the E31 didn't add enough of a contrast. And so I just went back with the E33 and then an R05 for a little pink on his nose. I don't want to add too many extra colors. Like I said, I want to just keep the color palette really simple and celebratory with the glitter. So all of the color is also glittery. Because when I add the die cuts with the words, they are also going to be cut out of the same glitter paper. To attach the rest of the banner, I'm just going to use little bits of Scotch foam tape under each one, and I had to cut it pretty small. After I have the main banner across the card, which I'm going to make sure that everything else is lined up with this banner, I'm going to simply wrap the edges of the string around the card and tape it down. I find this to be easier than just trimming off the sides because you could get some fraying. So I'll just tuck it under and tape it down. I do fuss with it a little bit because I want to make sure that the curve of the banner is consistent across the card, so it truly looks like it's hanging. I'm again using the Die Cuts with a View glitter paper for the letters. I added adhesive to the back of the letters before I die cut them so that it would be a little bit easier to stick them onto the card, because once they are die cut out, the thickness of the letters it's actually not very thick. It's, rather a thin font. And so you could use something like multimedia matte from Ranger, and that would adhere them down pretty easily. And if you do have any leaking out of the sides, it will dry matte, and so it will look great. But I just find it a little bit easier that if I remember before I die cut to add some adhesive paper to the back of my letters. And here I'm just going to line them up carefully around the banner. I had originally thought that maybe I would layer them over the banner, but since I decided to pop the banner up on foam tape, I didn't want the card to be so thick, and having to place the letters over the banner would require 2 layers of foam tape, and that's not what I wanted for this particular card. And so I'm just going to carefully place them around the banner and then make sure that I have room for the happy sentiment on the top. I had thought about possibly leaving the happy off to the side a little bit, because that way the Y would line up with the edge of the N, but I really would rather see the curl on both ends of the happy. I love this sentiment because of its scripty feature, and so I didn't want to lose out on that by putting it over the edge. So at this point, I'm a little bit concerned because I realize that I have laid everything down. I've taped it all down, and I haven't stamped. And so I'm a little bit worried that I might not get an excellent first impression with this stamp set, because even though they do stamp, like their stamps are extremely good quality, sometimes if you miss a little bit of the ink and you make a mistake with the stamping, I just don't want to mess up at this point. So I'm making sure that I'm stamping off once and there's no fuzz on my stamp or anything like that. And then I'm going to back it with some black glitter paper for a second matte, and that's it for my card today. I hope you enjoyed. I added another small banner at the top as well, as you can see. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can check out a link below to the Newton's Nook blog to check out the products. Thank you for watching. Bye.